Hey guys, what's up? This is the next part in my video for my videos for my cancer series. I know this video is due for like a long time because I made the first one a long time ago, but I haven't really been in the mood to make it, and I'm still kind of not, but it's a video that I need to get out because there's other things I wanted to get done video-wise, but I wanted to do this first. So, after I got to the hospital, and, after being diagnosed and everything else was kind of just like a blur. It was a lot of meeting people who were like giving me information about the type of cancer I have, and meeting people who were working with me in the hospital, and my social worker, and all that. It was really a lot, and there was like a teacher who taught us about the cancer type and everything, and it was a lot of information at one time, and they were telling me like all these different things, like you have to be careful, you can't shave because if you cut yourself you'll bleed more than a normal person will, and you have to be careful not to do anything where you might cut yourself, you can't use knives, you can't do anything like that. And I'm like, it's crazy because, you're growing up, and when you're a kid, you're told those things. But as you're grown up, your parents trust you with, like, knives and shaving and showering, stuff like that. It's just like your normal, everyday thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm being told, like, you can't do that, you can't do this, and it was crazy. I'm like, I just turned 18, and now I'm being told, like, I can't do all the things I'm so used to doing. So it was just a lot at the beginning. I did meet a lot of great people. There were a lot of great nurses that I met. I met the child life specialist at the hospital, and he's really good at his job. He's very, like, bubbly and fun and funny and just easy to talk to and stuff, which is good for a child life specialist, because if you don't know what that is, it's now what I want to major in, but it is a person who basically sits and talks to kids, plays with kids, and just helps them to, deal with procedures and stuff like that, and like helps them to distract them so that they're not focused on, I'm in the hospital, or that's a big needle, or whatever the procedure happens to be that the kid is getting in that area. So, meeting the child life specialist at the hospital was great. He's really easy to get along with. Like, everybody in my family liked him. He was really cool. A lot of the nurses, I wish I could remember their names. They were really good. With also, like, just kind of joking and making me laugh and feel a little bit better about being stuck in a hospital and all that. So that was good. And, I mean, other than that, it was like, a lot of it was just like a blur. I remember playing a lot of Uno because I was bored and just wanted something to pass the time. Because when you're in the hospital, time seems very slow and very, like, what day it is at the same time. It's very, it's hard to explain if you haven't really been in the situation where you're stuck in the hospital, or someone who's stuck in the hospital. It's hard to explain how time passes like that. But yeah, at first it was just like, I remember getting to the hospital, and they said that they wanted to do another bone marrow procedure. And after my last one that I explained in my last video, I was very scared and very, like, crying and just like, I don't want to do it. But the child life specialist at the hospital, my CLS, I'll call him, child life specialist, short for that. So my CLS really helped me. He would, like, talk to me, and he'd be like, oh, well, when you get out of your procedure, what food do you want? What do you want to eat? Because you have to fast for the time before the procedure, so what do you want as soon as you come back? And like, he was very, very good at his job. I enjoyed having him there in my first procedure because they gave me anesthesia, but it didn't work. Like, there's this room in the hospital, they call it the fish room, because when you're under the anesthesia, you're supposed to be either like out of it or a little loopy, so like you see the fish move and stuff. It kind of relaxed my body, but my mind was still very active. It didn't really calm down my mind. So I didn't see the fish move or anything, but my CLS was there talking to me and just, comforting me, holding my hand because I was scared and I was like, I don't care if I'm 18, I want somebody to hold my hand. So he held my hand and it was great. And I remember coming out of that procedure, like, I was very happy that it was over, but I was very happy that he was there for that and that I had someone there so that I wouldn't have to be afraid or feel like I'm by myself because I couldn't have my parents in there or whatever. So that was great. And a lot of people don't even know that that's like a career, that there's people that do that for a living. And it's like, I was very grateful that it was a career because I was very grateful to have him there during that. And then after that, it was just like a whirlwind of IVs and chemo, and I got a PICC line, which I don't know how to spell it, but a PICC line, it's a line that goes in your arm, and it's like a port, but it's more like just a wire that goes into your arm. I have a picture of it, and I'll try to edit into this video, and I'll try to edit in the pictures I meant to edit in to the last video, but I don't know because I'm trying it on this weird video thing that I'm not used to yet. So I'll try to edit that in so that like you can see what it looks like. I'll try to put like a warning, but in case I can't put a warning and I am able to edit them in, I'll have them at the end of this video. It is hard for some people to look at, so just saying that now if I do put them in. But it's a PICC line. It's like a little wire that goes into your arm, and the tube, I believe, comes up over here to your heart, where your heart generally area is. And that's how they would give me a lot of the medicine, through that. So I had that procedure done. I don't remember that procedure though. I don't remember getting that procedure. I think I had a better anesthesia for that one. So I don't really remember that one. But I do remember waking up in my hospital room and feeling like, whoa, I feel good. I think they had given me morphine or something for the pain. And I was like, whoa, I feel good. So I remember that. But, so I had that for a while. And then they said that I was going to get my port, which is right here. I don't know if you can see it. The lighting's kind of bad, but it's like a little bump right here that I have. And, so they told me I was going to have to go into surgery. And I've never had a surgery in my life. Never broken a bone, never had an open wound or anything like that. So, I was very scared. I was very afraid. And, sorry, I'm getting like all these notifications. But I was very scared, and so like they told me I was gonna have to get the surgery, and they talked to me about it and like the risks and how I could get an infection, but how it would be better because then I would get it like all my medicines through this, and I wouldn't have to get IVs anymore. And I'm like, well, I don't want IVs anymore, and I'd love to get this line out of my arm. And I don't even have a scar anymore from where that line was, so that's cool. But again, I'd never had a surgery before, so I remember the day I got my surgery, my mom was standing there waiting with me. I was crying very loudly. And she kept telling me, she's like, Mamas, don't cry. Like, stop crying. You're going to make me cry. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm scared. And then the surgeons, I guess, the doctors came and they got me. And I went. And they were very kind. They were very sweet. They were talking to me through the whole thing. They're like, hey, we're going to give you a lidocaine shot. It's going to be a little pinch. Lidocaine shots, I don't know if you've ever had them, but they burn. But, you know, it was better than like feeling the pain of the cutting. So they gave me that, and they did the whole surgery while I was awake, and I was talking to the guy and the lady who was there working on me, and then next thing I know, they're like, all right, we're done. And I'm like, you're done? And they're like, yeah, we're done. And so they sent me back to my hospital room, and I had a little gauze patch right here, and it was a little bloody because, you know, fresh surgery still and all that. And that was my first surgery ever. And then a few days later, they were like, all right, well, you can go stay at the Ronald McDonald House. You can't go far from the hospital, but you can stay at the Ronald McDonald House. And I know I said a lot of being in the hospital. A lot of being in the hospital for me was a blur, a lot of it. But these days, the next few days after I had been released from the hospital, I remember vividly, very vividly. I was staying at the Ronald McDonald House with my mom, and we came home for a couple days, and I was there, but I was still kind of like out of it. I was still a little like, whew, and I was getting like lightheaded and really tired, and I thought it was the chemo, but I don't know, it could have been a number of things. I mean, but then I remember we went back to the Ronald McDonald House, and then we were there for a day, and then it was Father's Day, so I spent the day with my dad. He went out there to Loma Linda, and we spent the day together, and it was fun. I had fun. It was a good day, but I just remember feeling so tired. I was so tired, like all the time. And because I had been in the hospital, my knees were also very stiff, so I was kind of walking with a walker because my knees were getting stiff from laying down so long and being in bed so much, and, you know, after so many chemos and stuff like that. So it would like hurt to move my legs a little bit, but I remember feeling so tired that day. So my dad had dropped me off back at the Ronald McDonald House, and I passed out immediately. I had passed out like right away. And this was like right before a lot of different things started happening. But so I passed out, and then the next day we were gonna come back out here. We were in Loma Linda. We were gonna come out here, Victorville area, Apple Valley, for a couple things. And me and my mom had met my dad and my grandma at McDonald's, and I felt tired, and I felt lightheaded, and I was in my walker, and I remember walking out, and I remember getting to the car, and I remember my vision going black and me dropping my cup of water and saying, I'm sorry. And then after that, I have like a memory gap, because the next thing I remember is I'm sitting in a wheelchair in the hospital check-in area, and trying to look up at the nurse and just dropping my head because it feels so heavy. And then after that, I remember waking up, and it was like 3 weeks later, and there were all kinds of IVs in me, and I could no longer get up and walk without assistance. I couldn't get up and walk, period. I now weighed 114 pounds, and I I was learning that I had gotten an infection, a C. diff infection in my port. So, that's why everything had happened. So now I was 114 pounds, IVs everywhere, and so weak. Here's an image. I was so weak that I had a case on my phone at the time, but I was so weak that I remember, like, I would call my dad at night because I would feel really lonely or something, and I was so weak I couldn't pick up my phone. It was heavy. This thing that you carry around in your pocket all day, this was heavy to me. And when I would call my dad, I would have to lay there on my back or on my side with my phone either next to me or on my chest because it was too heavy for me to sit there and hold it. That's how weak I was because of this infection that I had gotten. And, you know, through that, there was a lot of other stuff, like the chemo had started to make my hair fall out, and that made me really depressed because I love my hair. I've always loved my hair. It was my favorite feature about me, and then all of a sudden it was coming out in chunks. So, I remember when that happened too, because there was a time when I was in the hospital by myself, and I called a nurse in, and I told her, shave it off, please. I can't deal with it coming out. It's like the worst feeling in the world. One of them, anyways. And so, she shaved it off. And my mom came into the room and she was like, you could have warned me. And, I mean, I could have. I should have, but I didn't. But there was so much, like, it was. I remember doing exercises to try to get my strength back. And it's exercises you never would even think about if you weren't in that situation. Like, I would have to do exercises where I had to lay on my side and push myself up off the bed. And you don't even think about that, because when you just get up, you're just like, oh, I'm up, whatever. You don't think about how much energy it actually takes and how hard it could actually be. Because I remember struggling so hard with those exercises and just wanting to, like, cry. It was awful. And then, like, I need help to stand up, or I'd need help to go use the bathroom. I couldn't shower by myself, so if I was in the hospital, the nurses would help me, and if I was at home, my mom would bathe me and take me to the bathroom, because I couldn't do it by myself. And it was very depressing. I want to say it was, like, sad, but it was very depressing for me. It was very hard to keep a positive face. I definitely tried, and I definitely did my best, but it was very hard. I was depressed, I was sad, I wanted to get up, I wanted to move, I wanted to do something. My little brother was 1, he didn't recognize me. My sisters were, you know, growing up and doing all this stuff, and I was in the hospital. I was 18, and physically, I was 18. But mentally, and technically physically, I was like a child. My mom had to take care of me, my mom had to bathe me, my mom had to dress me, or the nurses or whoever I was with. If I was at my dad's house, it was usually my grandma who helped me with that. But it was very depressing. I couldn't even feed myself half the time. And that too, I had like a feeding tube for the longest time and then when I would try to eat food, most of it, well, pretty much all of it, I would throw up. I would throw up all of it, and that would be that. So, but for a long time I spent in the hospital after I got that infection, and hospitals are depressing. Just in general, hospitals are a depressing place to be. If you're in a hospital, obviously it's not for a good reason usually, unless like you're having a baby. But yeah, it was very so I went from walking and jumping to being in a wheelchair and barely even able to hold my own head up. So and eventually they let me come home and all that. And I think that's a story for the next video, because we're already getting to 21 minutes and I didn't want this video to be that long, but it was. So but moral of the story here is appreciate the little things. If you can get up and walk that day, praise God for that, because it's a gift to breathe air and to be able to go out. And I know right now people can't really go out because quarantine, and a lot of people are scared now because of all the protests that are going on and everything else that's going on in the world, but I mean, walk outside your front door and look around at the plants and the birds, whatever animals are near you. If you live in a city, look outside at your yard and look at the cars and look at the sky and just think, I'm lucky I'm here and not in a hospital, not stuck inside. I'm lucky to be able to walk outside or go outside and see the beauty that's in the earth and the beauty that's surrounding us. So I guess if I learned anything from my cancer, it's that we should be very grateful for the little things, because I know it's human nature to be like more. I want. But it's like, stop for a second every now and then and smell the roses, Take a second and appreciate what you have, because I didn't know I was going to get cancer. I didn't know I was going to be stuck in a hospital. When I turned 18, I was planning to go to college in the fall with my friends and all that stuff. I wasn't planning on getting cancer, although I don't think anybody does. I don't think that's something people plan on. But it's like, you never know. You never know. You never think that you might be that person. You never think that something like that could happen. But it can. And it does. So, appreciate the little things, guys. Thanks for sitting with me this long. I know it was a long video, but the longer, the more content, I'm working on some editing things, so I'm trying to get some ideas for some new videos that'll be coming your way. I'll try to upload at least once a week. I know I haven't uploaded in a while, and this video took a long time. I'll try not to let it be that long again. So, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.